City sounds, a familiar morning chorus in our Brooklyn Heights townhouse, woke me. 10 years married to Tom. We'd come together, two separate pasts, and built a life, brick by careful brick. His son, Jake, just a kid when I arrived, was now practically a man. Polite, easygoing, our relationship. Never close, more a matter of our personalities than anything else, but respectful. A comfortable distance between us. Jake, mid-20s, all city energy and charm, the kind that made strangers smile. A maturity in him, something you couldn't help but admire. It started simple, a casual question. Movie this weekend? Tom was swallowed by work, always traveling. Weekends were his, locked in deals. Jake and I often found ourselves in these quiet pockets of time, the townhouse echoing with absence. These outings, low-key, filled the silence. A chance to connect, even if just for a few hours. So I said yes, without thinking. Saturday night, the AMC Lincoln Square was a pressure cooker of noise, people buzzing, weaving through the lobby. Jake had gotten tickets ahead. Inside, surprised to see the seats. Perfect. Center, not too close, not too far. Darkness wrapped around us, screen flickering, aisle lights dim. Then, a shift. A different vibe from Jake. Tried to focus on the screen, but his presence was a live wire beside me. He leaned in a little too close, whispering something during a quiet scene. Innocent enough, making sure I was enjoying it. But the air felt different, charged somehow. Halfway through, he leaned in again, breath warm on my ear. "You liking it?" Nothing inappropriate in his tone, but the closeness, the warmth, sent a shiver down my back. Managed a nod, a smile, eyes back to the screen, trying to recapture the movie's spell. But glances kept pulling me back to him, catching his eye. Each time his gaze flicked away too quickly, a nervous grin flashing. Was he feeling it too? This subtle tension, this almost discomfort? I told myself I was imagining things. Movie ended, credits rolling, the spell broken. Silent walk to the car, a tension thrumming between us. Nameless, undefined. A few words about the film on the drive back to Brooklyn, then silence fell again. His gaze, a weight in my peripheral vision. Eyes locked on the road, wondering what this new sensation was, this unsettling flutter in my chest. In front of the townhouse, he hesitated, door open, looking back, expression I couldn't decipher. "Good night, Claire," voice softer than usual. Then he was gone, swallowed by the townhouse shadows. Left me standing there, heart pounding, a frantic rhythm for no reason I could name. Days after, tried to bury the evening, work, routines, a deliberate effort to forget. But Jake's behavior had subtly changed. Glimpses lingering a beat too long, casual touches, helping with groceries, passing me things at dinner, suddenly felt deliberate, charged. Was it all in my head? Projecting, seeing things that weren't there? The more I tried to dismiss it, the more it clung, a persistent undercurrent. Then, a week with Tom gone, a conference in San Francisco, Jake and I alone again in the townhouse. Book in hand, living room quiet, trying to lose myself in the story. Footsteps on the stairs, Jake in the doorway, expression serious, but with a warmth that made my pulse jump. He sat beside me on the couch, closer than necessary. "Can we talk?" Intensity in his eyes, heart hammering. "Of course," I managed, closing the book, turning to face him, forcing a calm I didn't feel. A pause, gathering thoughts. And in that pause, I saw it. How much he'd changed. No longer the awkward kid navigating our blended family. A man now. With a man's thoughts, a man's feelings, a man's gravity. Admiration. Undeniable. "I just wanted to say thank you," whisper soft, almost hesitant, "for being here, for being someone I could always talk to." Touched, I placed a hand on his arm. "You've become an amazing man, Jake. I'm really proud of you." A warmth, unspoken, flowed between us. We sat there, silent, comfortable, and the weight of how much he meant to me settled in my chest. Family, yes, but also something else, a connection, deeper, undefined. Did I even want to define it? For that night, in that moment, it was enough to feel valued, appreciated. The week unfolded, the distance between us dissolving, evenings talking, sharing stories, laughter echoing through the townhouse. For the first time in years, an ease in his company I hadn't felt with Tom in what felt like forever. Jake seemed to see me, truly see me, not just Tom's wife, not just Jake's stepmother, but me. Equals, in a strange, unexpected way, a sense of fulfillment I hadn't realized I'd been missing. One night, kitchen, late, lingering over coffee. He reached across the counter, hand covering mine. A flicker in his eyes. Gratitude, warmth, and something more? Breath hitched. Instinct screamed to pull away, but I didn't. Met his gaze, a surge of emotions, exhilaration, unease, a thrilling tremor of something forbidden. Retreated to my room that night, mind racing, a whirlwind of questions. What was happening? What did it mean? All I knew was in Jake I'd found a companion. Someone who saw past the roles, saw me. Heady, confusing, blurring lines I'd sworn never to cross. Days turned into weeks, the connection deepening, a silent current pulling us closer. Drawn to him in ways I couldn't fully articulate, wouldn't dare name. No lines physically crossed, but an unspoken language developing between us. Mutual respect, admiration, a bond that resonated beyond words. Was it love or something simpler, born from shared solitude, a longing for connection in the echoing spaces of the townhouse? Whatever it was, it changed me. Tom returned, the city energy back in the house, routine clicking back into place. Jake and I retreated into our familiar roles, the newfound closeness, hidden, kept private, a quiet secret between us, like we'd shared something unspoken, a bond unacknowledged but undeniably real. On the surface, our relationship remained what it always had been, family, two people linked by circumstance, but underneath a current of friendship, respect, understanding. A bond forged in shared silences, fleeting glances, unspoken words. It would stay, I knew, quietly shaping who I was, who I would become. I never told Tom. The shift I'd felt, the subtle changes in the air, some things were best left unsaid, understood only in the quiet corners of the heart. But looking at Jake across the dinner table, I knew what we shared was unique, precious, a part of me now, a quiet, enduring presence guiding me forward. That quiet, warm evening with Jake lingered, a turning point, shifting my perspective. Family dinners, conversations with Tom, outwardly the same. But inside, a new awareness had opened, revealing a quiet isolation I hadn't fully faced. My relationship with Tom, companionable, yes, attentive in the practical ways, but emotionally distant, disconnected from the deeper currents of the heart. In the weeks that followed, my life seemed to orbit around moments with Jake. Every shared glance, every casual exchange loaded with unspoken meaning, as if we both held a secret, something profound, too fragile to name. It wasn't about hiding from Tom, not exactly. More like protecting this small, fragile world we'd created, a world where I felt truly seen, maybe for the first time in years. One afternoon, Tom at a power lunch in Midtown. I stayed home, the townhouse quiet, content with a book on the couch. Footsteps approaching. Jake in the doorway, hall light casting shadows on his face. He hesitated, glancing down as if weighing his words. Mind if I join you? Softly, a smile that seemed almost shy. Of course, I replied, patting the cushion. We sat in silence for a long time. Neither of us speaking, just the sounds of the townhouse settling, the distant city hum filtering through the windows. Then he spoke, breaking the quiet. Do you ever feel like you're living a life that isn't really yours? Voice low, thoughtful, the question catching me off guard. Yes, I admitted after a pause, choosing my words carefully. It's easy to fall into roles, expectations, especially as you get older, but it doesn't mean you stop wanting something more. I turned to see him looking at me, eyes intense, unreadable, as if he too carried the weight of unspoken thoughts. I feel like I've been trying to live up to everyone else's idea of who I should be, he confessed. Want to be my own person, make my own choices, but it's hard. Hearing his struggle struck a chord deep within me. It's a lifelong journey, Jake. Don't let the world convince you to fit into a mold. Be true to yourself, even if it means making difficult choices. The words felt oddly personal, echoing my own buried desires. I realized I was speaking as much to myself as to him. The conversation hung in the air, leaving us both thoughtful. In those quiet hours, we shared more than just words. We shared vulnerabilities, hopes, dreams, things kept hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. I began to see him not just as Jake, my stepson, but as someone with his own complexities, fears, desires. Our connection was deeper than I'd ever acknowledged, opening a door in my heart I hadn't known was there. It felt both comforting and unsettling, a fragile, beautiful thing. Days bled into weeks, the emotional landscape shifting subtly, imperceptibly. Tom remained absorbed in his world, unaware of the quiet revolution taking root in our townhouse. Jake and I continued to drift closer, bonding over shared moments, genuine understanding. I found myself looking forward to our talks, our evenings spent with coffee and quiet conversation, stories both trivial and meaningful. One evening, kitchen, cleaning up after dinner, he reached for a dish towel at the same moment I did. Our hands brushed. We both froze, the air suddenly thick with unspoken things. Heart raced, a familiar warmth spreading through me as his fingers lingered against mine. Fleeting touch, simple gesture, but it held a weight, a charge that resonated through me. The boundaries between us blurred just for a moment, and I knew he felt it too, but we didn't cross the line. We simply existed in that delicate space, acknowledging the unspoken current between us without needing to define it, without daring to name it. And yet, even as we maintained the careful distance, the tension became undeniable. It lingered in the air, fueling each interaction, each glance like a silent promise of something that could never be. One night, after Tom had gone to bed, the townhouse settling into its nighttime quiet, I sat alone in the dim light of the living room, lost in thought, reflecting on the life I'd built with Tom, the years of routine, the carefully constructed stability we shared. It was a good life, safe, steady, predictable. But the realization of how deeply I yearned for something more, for a real connection, for understanding that went beyond the surface, pressed on me, a weight I couldn't ignore any longer. Jake entered the room and I looked up, surprised to see him. He moved to sit beside me on the couch, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from him. "Couldn't sleep," he murmured, gaze soft but searching. I nodded, feeling the same restlessness that had kept me awake, the same quiet ache in my chest. We sat in silence, the quiet of the townhouse amplifying the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. He looked at me then, eyes reflecting a depth of emotion I couldn't quite interpret. "Claire," he whispered, voice breaking the fragile silence. And in that single word, I heard the unspoken question that had hung between us, heavy and unresolved, all this time. The room seemed to hold its breath, the world narrowing down to just the two of us, in the quiet dimness of the townhouse living room. I felt my own emotions rising to the surface, unfiltered, raw, a dangerous tide threatening to pull me under. For a brief, reckless moment, I allowed myself to imagine it. Imagine crossing that line, following the pull, giving in to the silent, desperate yearning. But just as quickly, reality snapped back, cold and sharp. This was my life, my family. And I couldn't risk shattering everything we'd built. I managed a soft smile, reaching out to squeeze his hand, a gesture that conveyed a complicated mix of affection, gratitude for the unexpected closeness we'd found, but also a firm, unspoken boundary. "Good night, Jake," I said quietly, firmly. And after a long, heavy moment, he nodded, understanding, accepting the words left unsaid. He left, disappearing back into the shadows of the townhouse, and I sat there alone, feeling the weight of my choice settle over me, a heavy blanket of regret and resolve. I knew, with a certainty that ached, that while our connection was real, profound even, it was something I needed to let go of. Some people enter our lives, change us irrevocably, but are meant to be appreciated from a distance, held in the heart, not in our arms. I loved Jake, yes, but not in a way that could be pursued, not in a way that wouldn't destroy everything. It was a love that had shaped me, shown me the hidden depths of my own heart, and for that I would always be grateful. In the months that followed, I consciously focused on strengthening my relationship with Tom, trying to rekindle the spark, rebuild the bond that had brought us together years ago. Jake and I maintained our polite closeness, but it settled into something more manageable, a quiet friendship built on mutual respect and understanding. The boundaries were clearer now, and we both respected them, knowing somehow that our fragile connection was too precious to risk, too easily broken. Looking back, I realized the moments I'd shared with Jake had revealed parts of myself I'd long buried, desires I'd forgotten I possessed. He'd given me a gift, the gift of self-discovery, of understanding my own needs and longings in ways I hadn't known before, and for that, I would always be grateful. The feelings I'd had for him, I finally understood, were never truly about romance or physical attraction. They were about something deeper, something more fundamental, connection. About feeling seen, truly seen, in a world that often felt distant, isolating, impersonal. As time passed, life resumed its steady rhythm in the townhouse. Jake moved out, got his own place in the East Village, pursuing his own dreams, building his own life in the city. Our bond remained. A quiet, unspoken presence, something neither of us talked about, but both respected, both carried within us. We had each grown, changed by the quiet intensity of what we'd shared, and I knew I would carry those memories, those unspoken moments with me always. In the end, I found a strange kind of peace, knowing I'd chosen the path that honored both my love for Tom and my deep respect for Jake. The line we had drawn, though painful, had preserved the fragile integrity of our family, allowing us to keep the best parts of our unexpected connection without compromising what we valued most. And that, I realized, was the truest beauty of love. Not in possession, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, enduring presence it leaves within us, subtly guiding us, shaping us, leading us in its own quiet way toward our best selves. For me, in the echoing quiet of the townhouse, that was enough.